This is Conscious Business. My name is Bernardo, and with me is Anabel Dumlao from Excellent. Hi, Anabel.
Hi.
Let's talk about culture. Everyone seems to be talking about culture these days. I just want to get your definition of culture.
Okay.
And what creates culture in the workplace.
All right. Okay, so we use a definition that we love at Excellent. We love it because it's the simplest we found to date.
Simple is always better.
It works pretty well when it's simpler. And we use it not because we claim it to be accurate or the best definition out there, but it does help us understand each other. So for us, culture are the messages people receive of what it takes. Like, how do you need to think? How do you need to act? How do you need to interact to belong to that workplace, right? So how do I need to think? What do I need to say? What do I need to do? How do I interact with you so that one becomes one of us?
Yes. Because in my head, it was always, this is how we do it. I love the way you say think. Because what you think becomes your behavior. So I love that you zeroed in on how you think becomes the culture of the workplace.
Well, that's a message too.
Yes.
So we intentionally use the expression that messages people receive.
Yes.
Right? It's not just the messages you said, okay? So we use our words intentionally.
Yes.
And that's the point. Some organizations think that culture is about explaining what's the vision, explaining their mission and their values. You've heard that too, right?
Yes.
And it is a part of it. But those are artifacts of culture. When you write those down, those are the messages you want to send. Culture is the messages that are received. Okay, so that's why that definition
because
works
what you say
well.
and what you receive can be two different things, correct?
Exactly. There could be a dissonance because how many times have you seen that the values on the wall are who would disagree?
So different.
Who would disagree that we want to be one team, for instance?
Exactly. Or integrity. Everyone has integrity on there. So I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying it's actually really good to come from integrity, but is it congruent to what's actually practiced?
So the thing is, that's not culture. That's what you'd like your culture to be. So the thing is, you have culture, whether you like it or not, and it's a function of the messages that people are receiving.
So culture will exist regardless of what's written on the walls.
Absolutely. And guess what? If there's a difference between what's on the walls and what people are seeing, guess what the message will be?
What they're doing. Not
it's
what
louder.
Not what they're seeing. Yes, what they're doing. Because behavior speaks louder than words.
Yes,
right?
we love that quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Who you are speaks so loudly I can't even hear you talk.
Yeah.
That's true.
It really resonates with people when they realize that.
So when you look at the culture of a place, it's really not what's written down, but it's actually on how they do things.
It's more of that
and
than what's written down.
And how the people think inside the organization. Now, it's also been said that once culture is created, it's next to impossible to change. How do you feel about that?
Well, the thing about culture, there's also a nice belief that we promote and that culture can change.
Okay, tell us more.
That's
about
one.
that.
And we believe culture changes one conversation at a time.
So you can't walk in and wave a magic wand and say, okay, everybody.
It rarely works that way. If someone has seen it work that way,
I
please
seriously
DM me and let's figure it out. We've been working on culture for 20 odd years. Excellent was founded 21 years ago, and very early on, the initial work was about raising consciousness in the world of business, getting more conscious cultures, right? Through more conscious leaders. And soon we realized that that was not sufficient. Like the willpower of the leaders to change, right? The whole organization kept hitting a wall in a way, in some sense. And we quickly realized, and thanks to the expertise of one of the early partners at Excellent, is that there was something greater than the willpower of the individual leaders or even the leadership teams. And that we realized was culture. Because culture is more than those behaviors. An important and very significant and visible part of it are the behaviors of leaders because they're there, right? Whatever they say, however they whisper it, it's heard in every nook and cranny, right? Because they're visible and they have positional power. So the behaviors of the leaders are one source, very significant source.
And it's a very significant source.
Right?
Like
but
you
it's
said,
not
it
enough.
starts from the top.
It sits there pretty prevalently.
Yes.
But it's necessary but not sufficient.
Okay.
Because there
Let's
are
go
other
to-
two sources of culture
Tell me.
that, from the framework shared with us from a former excellent partner called Carolyn Taylor, we follow her framework and we fell in love with Carolyn's view of culture from the very start, and we still hold that framework in our work to this day. So the two other sources of those messages that we
Yes.
said were what culture was come from systems. So what does it take to get promoted here?
Yes.
What do we reward? What do we punish?
Yes.
Who gets the corner office, right? That is kind of a segue into the third source of culture, which is of those messages, symbols.
Symbol.
Who gets that corner office? It's not about the corner office in itself. It's about what it symbolizes.
Yes.
It's probably a symbol of power, of privilege. It's a symbol of many things, of success. So, what is success? In a previous life, for me, success was moving from a rectangular desk to a square desk, and from light colored wood to dark colored wood. Would you think that has value in itself? No. It was the symbolic value of it. That is also a message that people receive. To be successful here, I need a square, dark wood table because that's the symbol of success here. So you can say anything you want, right? About meritocracy, equality. If they don't see that getting a square, dark colored table is as accessible to everyone, then the culture, right? The messages that they will receive will be what they see,
Yes.
not what is declared.
I love that. I love that. And let's summarize that. The three elements of culture. Number one.
So the three sources of messages that people receive in order to be one of us are behaviors, most especially leadership behaviors. Number two, they would be systems. So what are the processes? What are the procedures in order to fit in here? And more importantly, to belong. Are they helping or are they hindering the behaviors that we want? So who gets promoted? Who gets the budget? How is time allocated in the boardroom? Those are the systems. And the third source of culture, of those messages, that would be symbols. Something that's even more important than itself is the symbolic nature of what you're doing, of what you're saying. So those are the three sources of culture.
I love that. Thank you for that
And
huge
so,
educational.
as a recap of that, when you ask, so can culture change?
Yes.
Culture can change if those three sources of messages change consistently over time.
Yes. And it's over time.
It's over
not
time.
a magic wand.
It's not
And I just really
overnight.
want to put that emphasis on that. And it takes buy-in from the whole organization. Right?
Absolutely. So who behaves in a certain way is relevant because you're not just going to follow anyone, you're going to follow those who are successful in your organization.
Thank you so much, Anabel. Join us next time on Conscious Business.